Hello and welcome back to Dark Mondays with Kevin Bozeman. I'm Kevin Bozeman and I'm so excited about this week's episode. Back at the end of October, I sat down with the enormously talented and generous Saycon Sengbloh, who, among so many other incredible career accomplishments, was the first Black actress to play Elphaba in Wicked. In 2005, Saycon became the Elphaba standby for the Broadway company of Wicked. And I realized as I was putting this introduction together that I should probably explain what it means to be a standby in a musical or play. So, under the rules of Actors' Equity, the union, with a full production contract like Wicked, now there are different tiers to the contracts. When you see a show in New York City, in a Broadway house, those shows are typically full production contracts. Typically, but not always. Some, but not all, touring Broadway shows are full production contracts. Some are on a lower tier. Most regional theater Actors' Equity contracts are under a lower tier than Broadway. And what does this all mean? When I was acting, I used to really know what it all meant because I was elected as the union rep for several productions I was in. But for the past 6 years, I've been on the creative side of the table under a completely different union, the Stage Directors and Choreographers Society, SDCS. So I'll try to explain what I recall. One of the most notable differences on the lower tiers is compensation, weekly salary and per diem. But I must say, even with that, the quality of the show is not less. The talent level is not less from the actors or the musicians or stage management or the crew. The set is not less. The costumes and wigs are not less. You are most likely getting a high caliber show when you see a tour, even when the production is operating under a tiered contract. I could probably do an entire episode about just this. This is probably the stuff I'm not supposed to share, but here I am sharing it. Anyway, Wicked Broadway would fall under the full production contract. And under that contract, shows require a minimum 2 understudies for principal roles. Understudies are internal, meaning they come out of the regular playing company, the company that performs the show every performance. Therefore, typically an understudy is in the ensemble. Principal actors also understudy other principal roles in the show. I've seen that happen. A swing could also be an understudy, and swings are actors who are in the ensemble who don't perform the show every night, but they're at the theater and essentially on call in the event an actor in the ensemble is out sick or injured or has a personal day or must step into the principal role they understudy or they have a planned vacation. So swings are tasked to sometimes know all the ensemble tracks, or their duties could be split up to certain tracks because there are multiple swings. Similarly, a standby is on call for a specific principal role or roles. Standbys are contracted as principals, whereas, like I said, swings are part of the ensemble. They're contracted as ensemble actors. So standbys go on when the principal actor is out for any of those reasons that I listed before. And not all principal roles have a standby. It's usually the most demanding role or roles in the show. And I have no idea how they determine that. But being a standby or a swing is a huge job. Sometimes you have a lot of heads up for when you're going to go on. You know when someone has a personal day or a vacation week. It's on the calendar. The actors call out an hour before the show. They call out 10 minutes before the curtain. They call out in the middle of the show. And the standby or the swing or the understudy must be ready to go on and deliver a seamless performance. I've been a standby, I've been a swing, I've been in the ensemble, and I've been an understudy. I'll talk more about all that on another episode. And I'm so thrilled to share my conversation with Saycon Sengbloh, who, aside from her historic run in Wicked, has been a principal actor in shows like Rent, where she played Mimi, Aida, where she played Aida, Fela, where she originated the role of Sandra, and her Tony-nominated role of Helena, wife number 1 in Eclipsed. And interspersed in there, she stepped into ensemble roles in shows like Hair and Motown the Musical, and she shared the strategy behind those career choices. We scheduled 90 minutes for our conversation, and almost 2.5 hours later, it felt like we could have kept going. So here's part one of my conversation with Saycon Sengbloh. Saycon Sengbloh, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Dark Mondays. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for having me. So pleased to be here.
Yay, it's such a pleasure to have you here. It's taken us a minute to get here.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I so appreciate, and you are my first guest.
Numero uno.
You, yes. What did you say your friend said?
So one of my other friends literally today was like, "Can you be on my new podcast?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to be on another friend's podcast." And he said, "Look at you de-virginizing everybody's podcast."
Yes, the Virginizing podcast. I love that.
Yes.
So, yes, we are divergenizing Dark Mondays, and we welcome Saycon Sengbloh.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So, Saycon, you have had a long career. You have done theater, you have done film, you have done television, you have made music. And I want to get into all of that. Of course, I'm going to read your IMDb credits and your IMDb credits. You were Aida as Aida. You were a standby.
Yeah.
You did Wicked as the Elphaba standby. The Color Purple as Nettie, pre-Broadway in Atlanta. Did you also play Celie?
Played Celie on Broadway as a standby. Standby understudy. Actually, I was understudy for Celie and Nettie on Broadway, but I only went on for Celie on Broadway when Fantasia was there.
I did not realize you did The Color Purple on Broadway. So I did the first national tour with Fantasia.
Oh, wow.
I was there the last 6 months, and I think when I joined Fantasia...
So was that like 2008?
I think that was 2008, yes.
Yeah.
Fantasia was in and out, so it was Fantasia and Kenita Miller.
Kenita, yeah.
Yeah, they were our Celies, and they were both incredible.
I love
And
Kenita.
then you, yes, she's so fabulous. Then you did Hair, and you were in the ensemble, which is I want to ask some questions about that. How you go from principal to ensemble? Then you did Fela as Sandra, and I saw you in Fela. You were amazing.
One of my favorite shows.
Motown the musical. Again, you were in the ensemble, which is very interesting. Very interesting. In 2015, Holler If You Hear Me as Corinne or Corinne or Corinne.
Corinne, yeah.
Corinne. I kind of figured it was Corinne. And then Eclipsed, a play after all those musicals as Helene.
Yes, AKA Wife Number One, Helena.
Wife Number One, yes. And I'm 30 IMDb credits. I'm not going to read them all, but I'm going to hit some highlights. Law and Order, because every New York actress has to do a Law and Order. Every New York actor does a Law and Order. The Good Wife.
Yeah.
Scandal, one of my favorites, as FBI Director Angela Webster.
Yes.
Respect. And The Wonder Years.
Yes.
So, my first question, and we're going to get into all of those credits, is we're wrapping up this series that I'm doing on Wicked. And I wanted to talk to you because you made history as the first Black Elphaba Black actress to play Elphaba on Broadway, and I think probably to play Elphaba at all. Is that correct?
Yeah, the first Black woman, yeah.
History made. And Wicked, of course, is essentially the origin story of the Witches of Oz. So, Saycon, what is your origin story?
My origin story in general, or
Yeah, like where you grew up, and just tell a little bit about where you grew up and your family.
That's a great question. I love how you put that, my origin story. You know, I've been saying that lately. I've been saying I need to get into the lore of me and who I am.
The lore of Saycon, yes.
The lore of Saycon. I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Always loved to sing in the basement and running around the house, trying to dance, thinking I was Janet Jackson or something like that. And I always watched movies, loved movies. And the first time we got a VCR, my stepdad bought this one video cassette. That's the one we had, and the one VCR. And there was a picture of, what's the actress? Oh, I'm forgetting her name right now. Vintage, amazing Italian, Sophia Loren. Sophia Loren was on this video cassette. And when I watched that movie, I knew I wanted to act, and when I saw Janet Jackson, I knew I wanted to sing. And by the grace of God, it all got combined. I was able to do a little bit of all of it. But in Atlanta, before I even got to New York, I did a lot of theater, great plays. I did some commercials, a little bit of modeling, like random print modeling and things like that, playing a mom, playing a student, that sort of thing. By the time I got in college, I was studying Spanish and left school to go on a tour that crashed and burned. And I'd say a year or so later, I ended up auditioning for Rent, the musical. So Rent, Bernie Telsey casting started it all for me, really, as far as doing like big Broadway musicals, tours, Rent. And I played Mimi in Rent, which was
Yeah.
also a big thing because I was a chocolate girl.
Yeah, very interesting. I have a question about that because I feel like you have broken many barriers in terms of casting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, was your family supportive of you in the arts? Were are other family members in the arts?
You know, my aunt is a singer. She sings gospel music. My aunt Vivian, shout out to Auntie Vivian. And I was told that I didn't know my father's father, but I was told that my grandfather in West Africa, in Liberia, I was told that he traveled from village to village and that he was a singer. So, like, historically, it's in my blood. But as far as performing, my mother, my dad, my stepdad, they were supportive. They didn't necessarily take me to everything, but if I could get a ride, they let me go. It was fine. And then once they saw I was more serious about it, then they did start to drive me because a lot of the movies and TV shows that were shooting in the South were all in North Carolina at the time. So eventually they drove me to audition for my first on screen stuff.
Interesting. And your father was Liberian.
Yes, my father was Liberian, which is, and my sister's Liberian. I think I have two younger sisters. I think one of them was born here, but I believe I'm if not, those two were born in Liberia as well, but they grew up like been here from a baby. But I was literally born here. My mom's American. Yeah.
Okay. And was your mom in Liberia with your father?
No, my mom and dad met here in Atlanta, Georgia, which is where
Okay.
I'm filming today. Yeah.
Do you feel like having an immigrant parent, like, how did that impact you? Because I feel like a lot of children of immigrants, like, there's a lot of expectation on them to become a doctor or become a lawyer. Did you have that kind of expectation on you?
You know, ordinarily, I think there is that heavy expectation with immigrant parents. But I must say, in my formative years, like from fourth grade, fifth grade, there was a huge civil war in Liberia. And so I think a lot of my Liberian side were focused on survival. So I
Yeah.
didn't face that pressure that the average immigrant family would face. You know, I will say when I was studying Spanish when I was in college. I loved language. Still to this day, I love languages. And I remember I had a Spanish message. You know, I used to put songs on when people call your answer machine.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember my dad was like, he was asking me like, "What is this? Why do you have this on your phone?" You know, and I just always loved language and performance. So I was never put down for it. Like I said, they were like, they just let me.
Yes. So they were supportive.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they were more controlling, I'll be like a Britney Spears or something,
Mhm.
or like a Beyonce. You know, those parents that like really take hold and they're like controlling.
Yeah.
There's the no, you can't do that. Then there's the sure you can do it. Then there's the I'm dragging you to go do it. You know, my
Right.
parents were like the middle ground.
Yeah, I feel like my parents were very much, as long as your grades are good, you
Mm.
can do kind of whatever you wanna do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was doing theater and I was doing dance, and my brothers were both playing basketball and other sports, but they were like, as
I
long
had to ask you, were your parents supportive of you in the arts? Were you the
they
first
were
of your brothers to be in the arts?
yeah, I was the first one. So Chad would tell the story, even in interviews when he was famous, when he was Chadwick, he would tell the story that my mom would drop me off at the community theater and I would, do rehearsal. She
Mhm,
would go back home and cook, and she would come back at the end of rehearsal to pick me up. And she would
mhm.
always bring him with her. and they would sit there and he would watch. And apparently, he said he always wanted to do it, but he never tried to do it. And so we were very shocked when he was applying for colleges. We thought he was on his way to Florida State to study architecture.
Mhm.
And very last minute, he applied to Howard for their fine arts department.
Wow.
And we were
So
like,
that
huh?
took you all like, "What?"
Yeah, we
Oh
were
my
like,
gosh.
wait a minute, what? And he's like, yeah, I always wanted to do it. I watched you do it and I always wanted to do it. So
Mm, mm.
yeah, yeah.
So you in that way, you inspired him.
He said yes, he said I inspired him. Even I had heard him in interviews say that people would ask him, who was your inspiration? He would say, my brother.
Mm.
He saw
Who's
me.
older?
I'm older. I'm about almost 5 years older.
Wow. Child,
Sorry.
you don't look over 21.
Well, thank you. 53
Woo, praise God,
in
let's go.
February.
3, yes.
54 in February, yes.
Amen.
And I own every year of it, every day
Yes.
of it.
Yes,
Yes,
sir. Yes.
yes. I used to, there were a few years ago, it's been a while, I would not really tell people my age, because I feel like I was always being cast younger than I am.
Me too,
And
yeah.
so after a while, I was like, no, I'm gonna say that because also I got tired of. I was like, I would say to people, I don't think I can do this dance role anymore because I was like, I'm too old now to compete with 20-something-year-olds and
So you're like,
30-something.
"I look 20-something, but my body
And
feels otherwise."
and people will be like, "Well, no, you look like you're in shape and you're young," and I'm like, "I'm not young." And then I would tell them my age, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay,
What?
well,
Wow,
okay."
wow.
Somebody out there is gonna be like, "No, you look your age,"
Haters.
because you know how people are.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
But I know how to do.
you studied Spanish
Yeah.
at Agnes Scott College.
Mhm, mhm.
Talk about that. When I learned that, I found that very intriguing.
Yeah, so in middle school, I was doing French, but I gave it up really quickly to switch to Spanish because I really found that I just had a natural knack for Spanish. So I switched to Spanish, right? But I just never wanted to give it up. So by the time I went to college, I was already doing performing arts. I was a part of the Freddie Hendrix Youth Ensemble of Atlanta, which was also known as YEA. I was at Tri Cities High School, and I'm surrounded by, Candy Burris and all the girls from Escape and Outkast and all these fancy music producers, Pooh Bear, and all these people doing all this great music. And I just felt like, what if I'm not successful? I need something to fall back on. So when I went to college, I just decided to major in Spanish. I didn't know what, like, right in my face out of high school. Like, I saw these music careers happening in my face, but I guess, people, you do have a little whisper in your head that says, have something to fall back on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's what made me major in the Spanish. But then I had a minor in music.
Right.
I had the minor in music. Then I changed my minor to theater.
Mm,
So
mm.
I just, yeah. So then it was like theater, music, Spanish, child, and then I dropped out of school.
Okay. I dropped out of school too.
Yeah, okay.
I did. I went
I
to
dropped out
Florida A&M.
my junior year. You went where?
Yeah, Florida A&M University.
You dropped out of Florida. That's a fun school.
I'll tell you what happened. I was there and I was having a fantastic time there.
Mhm.
And I was studying theater, and Alvin Ailey came to Jacksonville, and friends of mine and I drove down to Jacksonville to see the performance. And I sat there in the theater and I was like, I have to leave school. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I
Well, did
left.
you audition for Alvin Ailey then?
No, and that evening, we made our way backstage somehow. We met the dancers, and I was like, I have to move to New York. And I finished that semester. It was a spring semester. In that August, I moved to New York City.
What did your
Uh,
parents
th-
say when you told them you were leaving?
oh, they were not happy. They were not happy at all, because I had also been in high school an honor student. I was taking honors and AP classes. I was on the speech and debate team. Like everyone thought I was gonna maybe become a lawyer,
Just
but
a
I
scholarly.
decided to. Yeah, I was very, very kind of little nerdy, but I decided to study theater. I really at first wanted to study dance, and I wanted to audition for North Carolina School of the Arts. And my
Mhm.
parents were like, "You absolutely are not gonna study dance because if you get injured, that's it, you know? But
Yeah.
they were like, "Okay," I said theater, and they were like, "Okay, we can deal with theater." But,
Mhm.
yeah, I dropped out, and for what they said to me is, "You're spoiled. We spoiled you, and we're not gonna help you."
Ah,
So I
that
moved to New
never
York.
hit you with the spoiled.
Yes. I was like, "Ooh, that kinda hurt." But,
Mm-mm.
yeah, I moved to New York, and I made it happen. Auditioned for scholarship at Alvin Ailey. I was awarded the Alvin Ailey scholarship, and, you know, the rest is history. I made it. They when they finally saw me perform about a year later, I was dancing for the Ailey too. They said to me, "Okay, we get it. We get it."
Sometimes, a lot of times, the thing that's in you, the people around you, they have other things in them.
Oh, yeah.
So until they get to see it fully fleshed out, fully
Yeah.
materialized, sometimes they just don't know until they see
Yeah,
it.
and we all have to just if it's being whispered in your ear because I felt like it was calling to me, it was whispering, "You need to go do this."
Mm,
Uh, we have to listen to that. We have to listen to that voice that's
yeah,
saying, "Do it."
absolutely.
Yeah. So I found some of your recordings and listened to them. I listened to everything, which had a really like
Woo!
a rock kind
The
of
rock
R&B
vibe.
vibe,
Yes.
yes, and I love the sexy breakdown at the end.
Little R&B moment at the end, yeah.
Yeah, a little R&B at the moment. You were talking to us. Loved it,
I told y'all, you can't tell me I wasn't Janet Jackson. I'm always, "How's everybody doing?"
and you still should be, and you still should be. Go on and record some.
Hey, I have some more music I wanna do for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
good.
I'm glad you listened to everything. Did you hear "Be Here"?
I listened to Be Here, yes.
Love yeah.
So R&B. I mean, that's like straight up R&B.
Just love, yeah. Just a big
Yes.
yeah.
It kinda gave me, like, some Shantae Moore vibe.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
who are your musical so you said
I
Janet,
like
but who are
Shantae Moore. I like that you said that. Shantae Moore, okay.
yeah.
Um, Janet, I like Sade. I like soft singers. I really enjoy soft singers. Now, of course, I love all my powerhouse singers, but something about, like, even now, like, we have Tim's, the
Yes.
people who just put you in a vibe, like,
Mm.
I like to, like, put people in a vibe. So
Yes. And you have that ability to put us in a vibe. Yes.
thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I felt like, one of the things the very first Broadway show that I did the tour first, and then I did it on Broadway, was Aida, and there's a song, I think one of the first songs Aida sings after she's been kidnapped is,
Mhm.
"Trust is no another land or beyond my reach." Like, I just love I love an easy, smooth song to just
Yeah.
smooth me out.
Yeah.
Now, I love Shaka Khan as well.
Mhm.
Love the Jacksons, period.
Yeah.
And then I would probably say Tina Turner,
Okay.
growing up, In Vogue, Destiny's
Mhm.
Child, but I grew up in Atlanta, so of course TLC, like that good contralto
Yeah.
I love a good contralto. So between T-Boz, Candy Burrs from Escape, I love a good low voice, like
Uh-huh.
a woman, yeah.
So you're probably what, a mezzo soprano?
You know, I was told that I was a contralto at one point, but I'll tell you this, because of so when I did the show Rent, famously Daphne Rubin Vega, who originated the role of Mimi, she had this, got a light. She has this kind of rap
Yeah.
to her
The
voice.
rap. Yeah.
So I was trying to affect that, and then I got a little hurt with my voice
Mhm.
doing that, right? So I ended up having to take speech therapy and vocal speech. I took vocal lessons in college, but then I had to take speech lessons. And I don't know if a lot of singers will tell you this, but a lot of singers in speech are, if you're wanting to sing higher, you're told to speak higher, to speak in a higher tone. So I think growing up, my natural speaking voice as a woman was much lower, more like, how like Beyonce has a really low voice, like she's like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, how's everybody doing this Beyonce?"
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm.
kind of, but I found that when I was speaking in that lower timbre, that I couldn't achieve my higher notes later on at night. So
Mhm.
my speech therapist taught me how to speak. It trained my muscle to be able to sing a little higher. So I would speak at a higher timbre. But so now I kind of go back and forth. I guess it depends on who I'm talking to. Depends on what the vibe is. If I'm very cheerful, of course, it's more high pitched, but Tony Braxton. I love Tony.
Uh, mhm.
I love a contralto. I love an alto voice
Yeah.
for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Wonderful. So you made your way to New York. Um, well, first you did the tour of Rent,
yes.
playing Mimi, and is that how you got your equity card?
I got my equity card as Mimi, yep.
Yeah.
They had these thing I don't even know if they have it anymore. It was called the Equity Member Candidate
Yeah,
Program,
I remember that, yes.
MC program. So I was an equity member candidate doing shows at the Alliance Theater, which at the time, Kenny Leon was
Mhm,
the artistic director of the Alliance Theater. So I was doing all
mhm.
that. And then, when
And
I
you
got
would earn points towards your equity card.
yes, your own points. But then when I got Rent, the points were pointed. And so, yeah,
Yes.
I got my equity card, the national tour of Rent, and then the national tour of Aida, Elton John and Tim Rice's Aida or Disney's Aida.
Mhm.
Then I went to do Aida on Broadway.
Right.
That was an interesting time. At the time, Simone, who is
Yes.
Nina Simone's daughter, was playing
Mhm.
Aida. And so I went there to be the standby. And eventually Tony Braxton came, and I was a standby for Tony Braxton. I was a standby for Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child, Deborah Cox. And in between all those pop stars who came to Broadway and brought their light, did their thing, I was the Aida in between.
Yeah.
I would kind of hold the fort down. But around the time that Nina Simone passed away, Simone had to leave to go and take care of her mother's affairs. And so
Mhm.
I was kind of like instantly Aida for a little bit. And then we had a strike.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, an equity strike?
Yeah, it was either equity or the musicians, similar to what's been looming more recently with Broadway. It was like,
Mm,
yeah, it was a strike.
right.
I can't remember all the details. The only thing I remember is I didn't get to do Aida as long as I thought. Like, I thought I was going to get a chunk to do it while Simone was gone.
Mhm.
Then the strike happened for a good chunk of time while she was gone.
I love that show. I saw it so many times.
That's a good show. You saw that show a lot of times?
I
Okay.
saw it a lot of times because I think I saw first, Heather win the
Heather,
Tony
Heather,
Award. When she won the Tony Award, I was like, "Who is this woman?" Because she was
Heather,
just
Hadley.
so gorgeous, such a goddess, and I was like, "I
Oh,
have to see this
regal.
show." So I
Yeah.
went to see her do it, and then I saw
Well, so did you know about her in Lion King before?
I definitely saw the original Lion King, and I feel like Nala's moment in the Lion King is
It's different.
so
Yeah, yeah.
short. I think she has one of the best songs in the show, Shadowland.
Yeah, oh yeah.
One of my favorite songs. I love
Yeah,
that
yeah.
song. And I did the national tour of The Lion King,
Mhm, mhm.
but, I
Did
don't
you
think I really knew who she was in The Lion King, but I'm sure I saw her do it.
did you ever tour with Christine Horn?
Yes,
That's one of
I
my
did.
best friends,
I
Christine Horn.
did.
She was, in the ensemble, and she was a Nala cover,
Yeah, she was a Nala cover. I think she also
Jessica
covered
Serby.
Sarabi, yeah, Sarabi, yep. Mhm. She's such a lovely person.
Yeah, she does acting and teaching, and
Yeah.
they call her the booking magnet, Christine Horn.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's wonderful. But yeah, I saw Simone do, Aida. I saw
Simone did Mimi too.
yes, she's another one.
Simone was doing her thing. That's
It's
an
very
interesting
interesting
lady,
to
yeah.
me who, Simone, Renee Elise Goldsberry,
Yes, yep.
also I think I saw Renee do Mimi
Yes, yeah.
because I think she was one of the last ones, I think.
Yeah, and when they did a lot was she Mimi in that live
She
I
was
know the
in
movie had
the live.
Rosario Dawson, but there was a live
Mhm.
thing, and I think she
Yeah,
was Mimi in the live thing, yeah.
and I remember back when Rent was happening, it was the show on Broadway.
Wasn't it the show, child?
The show, and you could
Like,
get really
pants on, you couldn't tell me nothing with them
like
pants,
$10 tickets to see it. So I think I saw that show. That was another show I saw many, 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 many times.
'cause they made it accessible.
They made it accessible,
They
yeah.
made it accessible, yeah.
And now theater is not accessible.
It is so expensive, and you hear about that there's, like they do, like, the standby lines and stuff like that, but you know what? I haven't heard of a show making it really accessible for the young
Yeah.
people that
But I feel like
they need to though, because
you can literally walk right up to the box office and
and
ask
just
for, like, a standing room ticket
yeah,
and
yeah,
get in.
because it needed that energy, but that's the problem I think with Broadway now is if that younger audience is not nurtured in that way to give them that passion and that love, eventually it'll, we just don't want Broadway to die out.
You enjoyed a very long career as a musical theater actress. Yes. Many credits.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were cast in a play, a very, very serious play in 2016.
Wait, can I say?
Yes.
Before this very serious play, I did a play in New York. I did a couple of plays off Broadway.
Okay.
One was Susan Laurie Parks, and the other one was Katori Hall.
Okay.
So those are very key, I think, in letting New York remember that I can act, that I'm not only doing musical theater, but that I do drama as well.
Theater world, y'all hear that? Saycon wants to be in another play in New York. Cast her.
Yes, come on, theater world, come on, yes.
So you were in the play Eclipse, written by Denai Guerrera, and you won the Obie Award for Distinguished Performance by an Ensemble. You won the Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Featured Actress in a Play. Mm-hmm. You were nominated for an Outer Critics Circle Award, and you were nominated for a Tony Award for Best Featured Actress in a Play.
Yeah.
Talk about that transition. Now, you just informed us that you had done other plays off Broadway, but I want to know, was that a conversation you were having because you had done all of these musicals? Were you having a conversation with your team about wanting to do more plays? Were you saying to them, find a play for me?
Let me give you the tea. So I always remind people that before I came to New York, I was in the movie Funny Valentines, where I played young Deary B. I was on Dawson's Creek. I was in The Ditch Digger's Daughters. I was in two movies and a television series that I was on, even, here in Atlanta. And I did plays here as well as voiceover. And so when I got to New York, didn't come to New York to audition. I came to New York as a transfer from the National Tour of Aida. So I was just written in, boom, as this musical theater girl. And so
that was your stamp.
It was a public stamp, I would say.
Yeah.
But I will say one of the coolest things that was always happening, a lot of people didn't realize, but I was always getting these opportunities to audition for pilots. I auditioned for Barbershop, the pilot. There was a TV show made of the movie. I auditioned for commercials, a lot of things I was doing in between my musicals that weren't as well known, but I was still doing television. I was in the American Gangster. The biggest movie I've ever been in was American Gangster, which I shot during the time that I was in Wicked. So I was still always having these on-screen non-singing moments. And so when I did those plays In the Blood as well as Hurt Village, I was able to get those reviews. I think it's really nice to be, on the front page of the arts section of the New York Times, I got some really good reviews and some really good love. But it was always a little funny because I think me coming out of a school that was not known for theater, a school that wasn't super known. We had Marsha Norman came out of our school that wrote that she's a prolific playwright. But, a lot of people were coming out of the Yales and the Carnegie Mellons of the world. And so there I was, having dropped out of school. And so there would always be a little random shade when I would go to the auditions because my agents were able to get me the audition. So I would audition for some of this and some of that. And I would always see the girlies that didn't do musicals would be looking like, why is she here? Because I guess they were go sing somewhere. You know what I mean? So when I got a chance to do Eclipse, when I tell you, when I heard about the show, I knew, I was I have to be in it. I was I have to be in that show. Because I was the only person on Broadway with a Liberian history or a foundation to bring even some semblance of that to the role. And then when I found
play is set in Liberia at the end of the Second Civil War.
Yes.
And you and 5 women are captives of a Liberian rebel officer.
Yes. Yeah, they would call us, like, bushwives. You
Okay,
know,
okay.
during that Civil War, a lot of young women and girls were kidnapped and forced to be with these people who they did not choose to be with,
Mhm,
and the show showcased a fictional group of women that represented a lot of things that happened during that show. I mean, during a lot of things that happened during that war. And
mhm.
so to be able to play that role, to be inspired to use accents that have been swirling around me throughout my life, it was wonderful. I love doing it. And I also was very grateful because it was like a springboard for me to get back to the TV stuff. And so I after the Tony that whole Tony that time, you're going to luncheons and events and you're getting invited to casting to audition and things like that. And right at that time, I auditioned for ABC's Scandal. So I want to say, within that year after that Tony nomination is when I booked Scandal.
Mm,
Went out to
that wa
LA and did that. Yeah.
that was a question I had.
Hmm.
I'm gonna come back to that.
Okay. Okay.
So following each show, the company would name a specific girl in an effort to shine a continual light on the victims of war, which are mostly women and children.
Hmm.
Yeah, that I found that incredibly special. Like, what did
Yeah.
that mean to you?
That was very powerful. Each night we were doing tributes to girls. At the time, there were girls that had been kidnapped in Nigeria. And so there was a whole thing going on with that and a lot of things happening on the world forefront as far as child brides and just young girls who aren't given a chance to live and enjoy a full life and a full set of opportunities. We had a lot of people who came. I think Nancy Pelosi came, Sting came. There were just some really powerful moments. And we had an all black production team, all female cast, including our
And that had never
director.
happened before.
Yeah, it was the first time that that happened, and I really, really loved and cherished working with Lupita Nyong'o. I think it was Lupita's first time on Broadway. She had done theater, of course, but first time on Broadway, but she had done this play when they did it at Yale, and so or she was the understudy, and then I think Ada Perro had done the role of the girl, which is a character she played. Just such a wonderful group of women in that play. I really enjoyed working with them. So it was during this time that I lost one of my sisters, and she didn't get to see me do that play, but she did see me do another play that a lot of people don't realize or know that I did, which was Marley. I played Rita Marley in a play. We did this show out in Baltimore, Maryland, and it was just a very special time. And during that time, I also got to do a really great movie after the off Broadway
Mm.
production. I did a movie called Double Play, directed by Ernest Dickerson.
I'm sorry about the death of your sister, the loss of your sister.
Thank you so much. Thank
I
you.
understand that loss of a sibling
Woo! Yeah,
so well, yes.
yeah.
So how did Eclipse you said that when you learned about the play, how did it actually come to you? Did you learn about it through your agent? Did you learn about it through, like, some casting breakdowns? And then what was the pursuit of it?
Most interesting thing about that is I was coming from a time where I was trying to figure out my finances, and I had an opportunity. They were doing these musicals, like these Christmas musicals, and so one of them they were about to do was, I think it was The Wiz, and they had cast Mary J. Blige as The Wiz. I'm sorry, Mary J. Blige as Eveline.
Hmm,
And so during this process, I had an opportunity to be the rehearsal Eveline, and it was going to pay a lot of money.
mhm.
This opportunity came literally the same week that I had auditioned for Eclipsed. Now, we were doing Eclipsed off Broadway, which was not going to pay a lot of money. And I remember having this discussion with my brother and like, what should I do? What should I do? My brother was like, well, let me help you. Let me help you out financially so you can go do the choice that will be better for your career, which is, if Eclipse does well, there's a chance that it could go to Broadway. There's different things that could happen with it. And so
Mm,
I didn't take the opportunity to do this other role that would have paid more money, but I did Eclipsed. But it eventually did go to Broadway and it did pay more and it just poured more into my career. And
Mhm.
so, it came from my agent, to answer your question. The
Mhm.
audition came through my agent. Yeah, it came through my agent, but that's such a touching time, the time of eclipse. Yeah, Fatu, my sister, I actually met her at my father's funeral, probably 25 years previous. I met her at my father's funeral. So
Mm,
during the time that I lived in Baltimore and was doing the Bob Marley show, I got to spend great time with her. And to this day, I'm in touch with her daughter,
mm.
and I try to keep that relationship. And so yeah, it ended up being a really, really special time, but it came through my agents. Yeah,
Yeah. What a valuable blessing, that I'm sure, it's like God, the ancestors placed you in Baltimore at that time for you to spend time with Fatu
yeah.
before she transitioned.
Mhm. Mhm.
It makes me think about, in late February of 2020, I got a call from Chad and he's like, I'm having a procedure. And he's like, "Can you?" And my parents were with him. Every time he had a procedure, my parents were with him. And he said, "Can you fly out just to help, take care of the family?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I was on a plane like 2 days later, and I
Mhm.
packed enough stuff for about 2 or 3 weeks. And I was there until he passed. So
Wow.
my parents and I were there until he passed. So we were there for 5 months.
Mhm.
And my older brother would come in and out. He was still working. At the time, I wasn't working, so that was a blessing. My older brother, his, youngest daughter was pregnant with twins, and she was having a very complicated pregnancy, and so he wanted to be back at home with them, and so he was kinda in and out, but I was there for the entire 5 months with my parents, and it was obviously a very challenging time, but it was the best time, one of the best times in my
Yeah,
life,
you
just
wouldn't give it up for the world, right?
give it up for the world, would not give it up for the world.
Mhm.
It was yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have that time,
Mhm.
and now even now, every moment I have with everybody in my life, I really, really cherish those moments for sure.
Have you been to Liberia?
Yes, I have, and I'm on the board of directors for a school there called Lead Monrovia Football Academy.
Oh,
This is a school where the students there, they have full education, they have life skills, everything, meals, the whole thing, but then they also get soccer training. So yeah,
mm.
football, soccer
Football.
training.
Yes, yes, of course, yes.
Yeah, Lead Monrovia Football Academy. It's located in Carisburg, Liberia, and I'm due for another trip there for sure. I've been to the continent of Africa. I've been to Liberia, been to Nigeria, Ethiopia, Ghana, and South Africa.
I read somewhere that you love the Liberian soups,
Yes!
specifically the okra soup.
My okra soup. Oh, I love my okra soup. You cannot take my okra. I love let my Liberian accent come out. I love okra soup. Oh my God. I actually started growing okra in I have like a little, I'm calling it a garden. It's not like a full garden. I have a 2-tier raised garden bed and I have like 5 pots of plants and that's my,
Okay.
okay. So I have okra,
Alright,
I have potato greens. I'm trying to grow things that Liberians love and that I can make I can make traditional Liberian foods with. But yeah,
okay,
okra is my all-time favorite food.
so when I come to Atlanta, you gonna make me some okra soup.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'll order you some.
Are there
I
Liberian
want it to be
restaurants?
good. Yeah, there's Liberian restaurants. There's Liberian restaurants. There's Senegalese restaurants. Those are my 2 favorite. There are some Nigerian restaurants, but when I'm looking for African food, I'm either gonna get Liberian or Senegalese. Yeah,
Okay,
or
so
Ethiopian. I also love
we'll
Ethiopian food.
we'll go out for okra soup.
Okay, okay.
I've never been into okra.
Really? Look,
Not the
you
way
can
that
try. There's another one called cassava leaf.
okay.
Cassava leaf, that's really nice.
Is it slimy? Is the okra soup slimy? I don't like the slime.
So first of all, when West Africans call something a soup, it's not soup in the way that Americans like soup. American style soup is like broth with meat or vegetables, right?
Yeah.
But soup is really another word for like stew
Okay.
in West Africa. When
Like
West
like a
Africa,
gumbo? Um,
not even quite as like even a gumbo is still slightly more watery, whereas a West African soup is. I mean, it's thick. You're gonna put it on rice. You're gonna eat it with a fork.
uh,
No, you can't. Well, let me say, a lot of Liberians will eat their food with a spoon, but they eating everything with a spoon. So,
okay.
but if you're American, you're gonna eat it with a fork. Like you don't need. It's not soup. They just call it soup. Ah, you making soup? What kind of soup you making? It's like what kind of meal are you making? What
Right.
kind of stew are you making? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Those are like two of my favorites. So I love so good. It's delicious.
Alright.
Oh, look at me go. Give me. I can't eat right now. I can't eat. I'm fasting. I'm fasting. I'm being an adult, you know. Let's just be real. Once you hit your 40s now in America, they want you to go and get your colon checked.
Okay. I know you said you had to drink something, and I was like
Yeah,
for a procedure, and I was like, maybe a colonoscopy."
colonoscopy. I'm getting one
Yep.
tomorrow. I'm getting one tomorrow.
That so important, no.
So important.
And Chad had colon cancer,
Mhm, mhm.
and I think I've done now at this point I started mine at 45,
Okay, okay.
so I think
This
I've
will be my
done
first as well. Yeah,
oh, okay. I've
yeah.
done several because of the family history,
Yes.
and then I had cancer also, which was a different kind of cancer, but they're like,
Mhm.
we need you to do them more often than,
Just to stay
they."
on top of it.
Yeah. And then I also have a lot of polyps. I have a lot of polyps, but they're not cancerous, but my body
Mm.
just always produces a
And
lot of polyps.
they remove them every time?
They remove them, yes.
Yeah, one of
They
my good
I
friends
think
had
they
it.
have to remove them. Yeah,
When they come across them, they remove
yeah,
them. Wow, God bless you. You are so resilient.
yeah.
Like, you're so resilient. You're like, "Oh, and I had cancer." I'm like, "Wow." Like, and you beat it and kept going,
Because
and
what else are you gonna do?
you
No,
taking care of yourself. Yeah.
here's the thing, yes, I beat it, and I've had some other health issues as well, but,
Mhm.
all of that stuff, it has taken a toll. There was a moment where I just was like I was in a deep depression.
Mm.
And I really was, like, not functional for a couple of years because I was just
Mm.
like and then COVID happened, and then Chad passed away, so I feel like, I had a few years where I don't feel like I was a functional human being.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, you are resilient.
And I think sometimes things happen and there were people who were critical, people who knew what was happening, knew what I was going through, people who didn't know what I was going through, and I just was like, I gotta do what's right for me, like, because I do feel like my entire life I've been on, I was a good student, and then I came to New York and I hit the ground running with my career, and I had a long career,
Mhm.
and, in this theater career, you're just, like, always on. There's a
Yeah.
part of you that always has to the switch is on and you're performing,
Yes, honey.
it takes a lot out of
The
you.
city, New York City.
It takes a lot like, I had someone say to me, "Your light is dim," and I was like, "Do you know what I have been through?"
Oh my
To tell
god.
me that my it really
Is
hurt
that
my
person a friend?
well, it was a family member.
Ah,
Like, it was a family member, not
yeah.
in my immediate family,
I know
but
what
it
you
was
mean, but sometimes there are people I
it
have
was a
family
family
members.
member.
There are some people who just say anything, child.
Yeah, this was one of those people that just says anything,
Yeah.
and I was very hurt by it, and I later went back to them, and I was like, "Now you know what I have been through, and you're telling me my light is
Right,
dim?"
like, why you gonna say that to me? Like,
Like, sometimes we need to dim the light. The light can't burn at full blast all the time, it just can't.
I've had mine dimmed a little bit. I've been helping my mom with some things. My
Yeah,
mom's been going through some things, like some
mhm,
serious
I
things.
know that.
And I
Yeah,
went through some things as well, and so I had to dim it a little bit. And now that it's coming back,
yeah.
I'm trying to like I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, wait, I got some other thing." Like I'm trying to like because man, we are resilient.
We are resilient,
We
yes.
are
You
resilient.
have been through some things, yes. I feel
Yes.
like my light is turned up very bright at the moment.
Yes.
But I also know I can dim it when I need to. I think
Mhm.
before, it was just always on. The light was always on, and I think as you get older, at least for me, I've learned, okay, it can be on for this amount of time, and then I'm gonna
Mhm.
dim it. I'm gonna go quiet. I'm gonna go in
And right,
myself
recharge and
and
yeah.
recharge. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think, like, you're a beautiful boy dancing and, I know everybody's like, "Oh, he's so amazing." Like, when you have that kind of, energy on you, people just want it,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Look at me," you know what I mean? And, like, it's like, there is nothing like a boy, a young man who has all of this just strength and energy and just, everybody's like, "Oh," people just love it. We literally go to parades to watch young people just marching and presenting, and the girls, like, we just love to just watch and to absorb it. So, when you have that in you, you're like, "Let me give it to you, let me give it to you, let me give it to you." And so, to have that realization of, "Wait, I don't have to give you all of it. I don't
Yeah.
have to give you all of it."
Yeah. I think to some extent, like when you do have a bright light, people want to stand in that light. They wanna feel the
You
light.
wanna bask in it.
They wanna bask in the light.
Yeah.
And I think you begin to feel sort of responsibility to shine that light. And so that's why the light is always on.
Oh my
But
god.
you but it is that learning that I can't have the light on all the time.
My
I
god.
really can't.
Can I tell you something? So, I did Holla If You Hear Me with Chadwick. We did
Yeah.
a full workshop of this Tupac musical,
Mhm.
and I remember, this was during the time he was trying to decide if he was gonna do the James Brown. He had so much great things happening,
Mhm.
and there were all the girls were just like, "Ah!" In the show, just the women that worked at the theater, like, everybody involved was just like, "Ah," whenever he walked into the room. And
'Cause this was after 42, right?
he had done 42. Yes, this
Yeah.
was after 42. And he said, I said I said something like, I said, "You don't," and what did he say? I said something, and he said, "But I feel like I have to," or something like that. Something that you just said, he said that to me. That's why when you
Mhm.
said it, I was like, because he literally said no, he said, "I gotta give them what they want," or something like that. He said something like that to me, and I was thinking like, "Boy, these people gonna suck you dry. You gotta, like, reserve something for yourself. We got rehearsal tomorrow. You don't have to," you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I think he eventually learned the lesson.
Yeah.
He eventually learned it. I think that, just the rigor and the schedule that he was on, like, he realized he had to pull back
He
from
had to pull back.
being
Yeah.
so generous with his time and his energy with people. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. He gave a lot.
yeah. And that's
He
beautiful that you realize that you didn't have to just give everything.
No, we're not supposed to give it all away.
No.
I remember standing in front of getting a phone call from him, and I was standing on my street in front of my building, and he was doing "Holler If You" what is it? "Holler If You Hear Me"?
Olive
"Holler If You Hear Me," and he was telling me about working with you.
me!
Yeah, he was telling me about now I have a messy question. Did you guys ever date?
We did. We did.
Okay.
God bless. Yeah, we
Yay.
did.
Yay.
Yeah,
I was
we
like, "Ooh,
did.
Saycon is gonna be my sister-in-law."
Oh my god, that would've been great. I learned so much from Chadwick.
Oh.
Yeah, when I first got my corporation, he was the first person I told. I sent him a picture of my little certificate because he would always say things to me that were like take care of your future self, like don't let them do this, do this. He would call me Songbird, Songbird, because I sang, and but yeah, we dated. We went up first big red carpet I wasn't on the red carpet. He was on the red carpet, but I went with him to this event and I was just blown away. Like seeing first time I was ever around like really big major events and things like that was hanging out with Chadwick. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
incredible.
I don't talk about it though. I don't usually, so
What's that?
I don't usually talk about it, because I
Yeah, I've
think
never heard you talk about it, but I remember being on the phone with him and him telling me about the play or the musical,
Mhm.
and he was telling me, he's like, "I'm not sure if I'm gonna do this because I have this Get On," because he had Get On Up,
Get on up,
and
yeah.
obviously he chose Get On Up, and
And there was some other thing that he was weighing between. It was like it wasn't really between Holler and Get on Up. It was like, I'm leaving Holler, but should I do this or this?
Yeah, it was a couple of different things.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
remember I
"Man."
remember we had that conversation, and he told me about you.
Yeah.
You Yeah,
Yeah.
told me about you, and I
Yeah.
thought I remembered that he said that you guys had gone on a date, and
Yeah, we
I
went
was
out
like,
a few times, yeah. This was the thing though, like, he'd be like, "You wanna go out on a date?" And it'd be like, "Who is that?" And it'd be like, "That's the lawyer for the Yankees." Like, the people that would be at the places he would go, like, it wasn't like, chicken wings and popcorn. Like, you know what I mean? Like, every time
no.
we went somewhere, it was
You
like,
hanging out with him, you were hanging out with the lawyer for the
"Yes,
Yankees.
yes."
More
I
like
was like,
that, yeah,
but it was, for me and for my future of my career, I needed to, like, learn how to be around
absolutely,
heavyweights and you know what I mean?
absolutely.
I needed to learn how to do that.
And I'll tell you, when I was dancing for Alvin Ailey, we always
Mm.
had, our opening night gala in New York. It was
Ugh,
always a star-studded event.
the who's who, the crème de la crème
Truly the who's who, and I would always invite Chad to those galas because I wanted him to be in those
in
spaces,
the mix, yeah.
just to feel what that energy was.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I know so when I did the Fela show, the guy who played Fela, his name's
Mhm.
Sa Gouger. Between Sa and Chad, those are 2 people that, like, I feel like they could just go in any room and shine. They can be in a room full of billionaires, or they could be, like, on the corner with just kicking it on the corner with some dudes that's smoking a joint or something. They could just be comfortable in any kind of room, like, so, yeah, like, I can only imagine. When I was a kid, my mother that was one of my Alvin Ailey was one of my inspirations too. When I was a little kid, my mother would take me to see Alvin Ailey when they would come to the Fox Theater and come there was another theater that's not there anymore, but when they would come to Atlanta, my mom would take me to go see them as well, and so just the opulence, the sophistication, and my mom said her great aunt I mean, her aunt, who was my great aunt, my great aunt Maddie Kate, would take my mom to see Fashion Fair, So, like, you were gonna ask me about being in ensembles and stuff like that?
Yeah, my question about the ensemble, you had done already
Is Lee
Mimi and Rent,
Aida.
you had done Wicked. And to me, like and I hear actors often who play like the principal role in the show,
Yeah,
who then, end up in the ensemble in another show.
yeah,
And it's always very curious to me, like how that happens. And then later on, you were in Motown. You were an original cast member of Motown?
yep, uh-huh, ensemble as well, yeah.
You originated Motown in the ensemble. Did you audition for the ensemble or did you audition for Diana Ross?
So let me just tell you this about I was about to use Motown as the example. So all the other shows where I was Aida, Elphaba, Sealy, all those Nettie, all those roles, right? I was replacing someone else who originated those roles.
Mhm.
Of any show to suddenly be an ensemble member was gonna be Motown. The reason I say this is because the show was full of stars. Like, this person is in the ensemble. Who is he? He's Stevie Wonder. You understand? This person is, the lead singer of the Temptations. Like, every single person in the ensemble of Motown the Musical was a star of their own group. And I had the opportunity to play. So I did a workshop. It started off the same way that How If You Hear Me was a workshop. And I left Motown to go do Holly If You Hear Me, the musical,
Mhm.
which when Chad left, may he rest, we ended up having, he's in Sinners. Saul Williams came in
Oh,
to
Williams, yeah.
do that
Yeah.
role. And then we had Chris Jackson was in it.
Jackson, yeah.
Yes, yes. So I was playing Martha Reeves of Martha and the Vandellas. Yeah. And so when you watch the Motown the Musical performance on the Tony Awards, who's singing lead? Me. The song that I sang in that show was Dancing in the Street. And
Gotcha.
even though I was not Diana Ross, which was wonderfully played by Valicia LeKay, the
Mhm.
song that sold the show was Dancing in the Streets.
Interesting.
And so I had this opportunity to shine with that song. It was probably the biggest selling song on that on the soundtrack. We got a Grammy nomination, singing Dancing in the Streets. So like
Mhm.
when they showed Motown the Musical on the Tony Awards, they did our signature number. You know what I mean? The same way that in Lion King they might do Circle of Life. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
even though you have Nala and you have Simba, but you have Rafiki, you know what I mean? I
Right.
think that playing Martha Reeves, it gave me such an awesome opportunity to learn how to carry a lot of vocals during all the midst of all the stuff happening with the Tony Awards, because we were nominated for Tonys and all that. So it was the opportunity to originate a role. So yeah, I did that. I originated in Fela and Eclipsed as well. But my previous roles have been replacements. And so it was like, if you're gonna do it, this is the one to do it
This
with.
is the show to do it with, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
a
I
lot
got
of
to be a great, glamour girl, I'm trying to think.
uh,
Oh, and hair also. With hair, I had a very featured role. I sang lead on a song 7 years ago. I played AB Baby, and I was in the ensemble, but I had a song that I sang lead on that show as well. It was just both of those shows were heavy ensemble shows where the ensemble members were stars. You know what I'm saying? So like it was okay to not have the weight of the show on my shoulders.
mhm, mhm.
And at the time, my agents and everybody, we just felt like it was an okay move to make.
Yeah, because there are those shows where the ensemble is really in the background, and
Yes.
then there are the shows where the ensemble is in the foreground, the ensemble is very featured.
It's an ensemble show,
It's a
yeah,
true ensemble show, yeah.
and Hair is like that, it's one of those type of shows, and so is Motown, where it's like, every time somebody comes out, it's like, it's the Temptations, it's the Four Tops, it's Martha and the Vandellas, it's the Marvelettes, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, you know? So you had that bed of Temptations and Tops and Marvelettes and Vandellas, and then upon that bed was laid Diana Ross and Berry Gordy to tell this love story and how he created Motown. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I ended up doing ensemble, after these like big powerhouse roles. That's a good question. I don't think anybody ever asked me that. But during the times where the roles were coming, it was a lot of conversation with the agents, like, how do we do this? Da, 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 da.
Mhm, mhm,
It was just
mhm.
an opportunity at the time and how things were unfolding.
And that's the show. Thank you so much for joining me. Huge thanks to Saycon. I put a couple of links of Saycon as Elphaba in the show notes, and a cute clip I found of her on the Wendy Williams show, as well as the link to the Lead Monrovia Football Academy, where Saycon is a board member. Come back next week when we'll dive into Saycon's television and film career, and we'll of course talk about Wicked.
It don't matter. Like, I did a video on YouTube long time ago about being a mango. I was just like, I'm just a mango, right? So I go to auditions. Sometimes they looking for bananas. I go on audition. It's like banana, banana, banana. Me, I'm a mango. Banana, 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 right? I'm always a mango, right? So when I show up, I'm not trying to be a banana. Like, I'm just a juicy mango, right? So when the people are watching me, they're like, where does mango come from? They may not cast me in the banana call, but they called me back because they like, ooh, we need that mango now. You know what I mean? So I just always show up knowing that I am a juicy mango. I just show up and I just am who I am.
This episode of Dark Mondays with Kevin Bozeman was conceived, written, and produced by me. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a 5-star review and leave a comment on Apple Podcast. Dark Mondays with Kevin Bozeman can be found everywhere podcasts are found, except apparently Amazon. The podcast lives on a hosting site called Buzzsprout, which then somehow lists it on the directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. And on the site, it says it may take up to 2 weeks to show up on Amazon. Well, it's now been almost 4 weeks. Come on, Amazon. What you waiting for? List Dark Mondays. Anyway, please do share the podcast, share the socials. That's at Dark Mondays Pod on both Instagram and TikTok. I'm at Kevin Bozeman on Instagram and at Kevin_Bozeman on TikTok. Have a wonderful week. See some theater, and I'll see you back here next Monday.